closer again. This one is for very late nights, for tired minds, for the hour when cities grow quiet but do not quite sleep, for the feeling of wanting to go somewhere gentle without really knowing where that is. So let yourself settle. Let the room around you dim a little in your imagination and listen, because tonight I want to tell you about a tram, an old one, green and cream colored, with warm lights in the windows and brass poles worn smooth by many hands. It runs only once each night, after the shops have closed, after the cafes have stacked their chairs, after the last hurried footsteps have gone home. The last tram, people call it, though no one seems to know exactly where it ends. You are standing in a city square when you see it. The stone is still damp from evening rain. The clock tower has just finished striking 11, and the streets around you are nearly empty. A florist is pulling down a metal shutter. A waiter is wiping the final table by a window. A bicyclist glides past in silence. And then, through the thin silver mist, the tram appears. Not fast, never fast. Its light soft and amber behind fogged glass. It stops in front of you with a gentle sigh. The doors open, and the conductor standing there says, "Quietly now, last ride of the night." There is something about his voice, or perhaps something about the tram itself, that makes the choice feel very easy. You step inside, and the doors close behind you with a careful click. The tram is almost empty, only a few passengers. A woman in a dark coat holding a paper parcel on her lap. An old man asleep by the window with his hat tipped forward. A student with a closed book resting in her hands. No one speaks, and yet the silence is not lonely. It feels shared, like a blanket laid across the whole car. The seats are wooden but polished smooth. Small lamps glow above each window, and somewhere beneath the floor, the tram hums with a sleepy, steady rhythm. You take a seat near the back. The conductor comes through with a leather ticket case slung over one shoulder. His coat is navy, his gloves are gray, and his face is kind in the quiet way some faces are kind. "Where does this tram go?" you ask as he tears your ticket, and he smiles. "Through the sleeping parts of the city," he says. "Sometimes that is enough." Then he moves on. The tram begins to climb a hill. Outside the windows, the city slides by in slow reflections. Bookshop windows gone dark, balconies draped with wet laundry, little yellow kitchens glowing above narrow streets, a cat on a doorstep, 2 umbrellas drying in a hall, the sort of details no one notices in daytime, because daytime is too busy to be tender. But night notices things. Night keeps them. The tram turns a corner and passes a bridge over black water. The river below is so smooth it seems hardly real. On the other side, the streets grow narrower, older, quieter. The conductor returns and pauses beside your seat. First time riding, he asks. You nod. People usually find it when they have had enough of noise, he says. Enough of what they must do, enough of what they must answer, enough of the bright, sharp edges of the day. You look up at him, and for a second it feels as though he knows far more about tiredness than anyone should. Do people always get off at the same place, you ask? Not at all, he says softly. Everyone leaves when the city gives them back enough quiet to carry home. Then he walks toward the front again, ringing a small brass bell once as the tram approaches the next stop. But no one gets on, no one gets off. The tram simply continues. Past a bakery where flour dust still hangs in the back room light. Past a library with rain beating on the stone lions outside. Past a hospital entrance where a nurse tilts her face up to the sky for one long breath of night air. You watch it all as the city moves around you, slowly, kindly, and the rhythm of the tram begins to work on you. The hum, the sway, the soft flicker of window light across your hands. After a while, the conductor sits on the fold-down seat opposite yours. From his pocket, he pulls a small tin and opens it. Inside are folded slips of paper, not tickets, notes. Passengers leave them sometimes, he says, when the ride gives them back a thought they needed. He unfolds one and reads, I boarded the tram because I did not want to go home feeling exactly the way I had felt all day. I wanted a small bridge between the noise and my own room. The conductor said nothing unnecessary. The city looked softer from the window than it ever had from the pavement. By the time I got off, I was still tired, but I was no longer clenched around it. That last sentence seems to stay in the air. No longer clenched around it. The conductor folds the paper and puts it back in the tin. That is often enough, he says, not to be fixed, only to loosen. Outside, the tram enters a long avenue lined with plane trees, their leaves whispering above empty sidewalks. Every apartment window seems to contain its own small world. A lamp by a bed, a kettle in a kitchen, a child fallen asleep on a sofa under a blanket, a woman watering one plant before turning out the light, and something about seeing all those quiet lives from the safety of the tram, without needing anything from them, without them needing anything from you, makes the world feel gentler, less demanding, more human. The conductor reaches up and dims the lamps a little further, for the sleepy part of the route, he says, and the whole tram becomes softer. The old man by the window does not wake. The student closes her eyes at last. The
patient guardians. The conductor looks at you and nods toward the door. This might be yours, he says. Might be, you ask. He smiles. Some stops are less about place and more about feeling. You stand, and somehow you know he is right, because as you move toward the door, you realize the tightness that came onto the tram with you has eased, not vanished, only softened, which is sometimes the loveliest kind of change. At the door, the conductor places something in your hand, a used tram token.
Cool and brass and faintly worn, for nights when you need a quieter ride home, he says. You step down onto the wet street. The doors close. The tram moves on, and for a moment you watch it glide away into the mist, a ribbon of warm light through the sleeping city, until it turns a corner and is gone. So now, if you like, you can rest there for a while, on that quiet street beside the park, with the little brass token in your palm, and the feeling of having been carried gently through the city, without hurry, without noise, without being asked to be anything at all. Let the hum of the tram stay with you. Let the lamps grow softer. Let the windows pass one by one, and let yourself become drowsy, safe, quiet, unclenched. Good night, and sleep softly.